Everyone, and welcome to the decks of the weekend. I am so happy to be back. It was a great time testing in Lisbon, meeting so many people at the Magic on Amsterdam, but I'm really glad to be back to do my job, which is to play Magic Online, tell you what I think about Modern, what I think about Nadu, Winged Wisdom, and later today, I'm even gonna play a Mengu's Workshop video with Nadu versus Necro, the two broken decks, the two decks that may end up being banned in a few weeks, month. Who knows what's gonna happen in Modern. Let's tell you what happened this PT this weekend. This weekend we had the Pro Tour, of course, Amsterdam. It was a Modern, and it was a full dominance of Bant Nadu with four decks like this in the top four, with top 32 having like, I don't know, 10, 20, like infinite copies of this deck. My friend Marco Del Pivo almost top 8 once again, lost the winning in for the top 8 with this deck. I also played this deck, unfortunately though, I did not do well. I didn't get a requalification for the next PT, but I had a great time regardless. And I was, yeah, just so happy to see my friends achieving their goal and just spending a great time playing Magic and meeting all of you there. So, that's first thing. You're probably, what's this, 1 minute 30 on the video? You're probably already going topping. You should ban Nadu. Wizard should ban Nadu. Ban Nadu. Yeah, they probably will. They probably will. But as always, when a PT happens, it's fun to do a analysis of what happens and maybe what's gonna happen based on the PT. Well, what happened is that the decklist that people that didn't bring Nadu brought were pretty bad. The second most popular deck was Storm, which had a 33% win rate. There were other very bad decks in the tournament. The ones that used Flame of Honor and Tamio did very poorly, and probably the best way to go now is just get controlled by Javier Dominguez, which I'll 100% bring on the channel. That's the deck I played in the PTQ on Sunday. Unfortunately, I only went 31 with single elimination, so I didn't get a requalification, but that deck felt very good and very promising. Modern will try to ship up a bit around Nadu being the best deck. So, again, that just get control definitely seems like a deck that can beat Nadu. Although, as you saw in the top 8, Simon Nielsen, who ended up winning the Pro Tour, beat Javier Dominguez in the top 8 on this very same matchup. So yeah, a lot to be said, a lot to be done. For now, I think it's fun to just see how broken Modern is. Again, the PT was broken Nadu. Nadu was the most popular deck, had a 59% win rate, which is insane. But similar thing happened to Phoenix in PT Chicago, where Phoenix was the best deck, the most popular. But then the metagame shifted around it, and there was no need to ban Phoenix after all. People just brought the bad decks. People brought Blue-White Control and Rakdos, which made up for that number. So, if people will bring less bad decks in the future, the metagame will balance it out. And I'm not saying this all to not ban Nadu. I'm just describing what happens in Modern after a Pro Tour, after a competitive event, since, maybe some of you are not familiar with metagame and high-level event shaking things up. Usually, Modern isn't a PT format, although Wizards has given us a Modern PT every year so far, so that's always fun to analyze afterwards. If you've never seen this deck before, it's a 2-card combo between Nadu and Shuko or Nadu and Rider and Core. You use Summoner's Pact, Court of Calling to combo off. You have Spring Harden and Tuco and Bristly Beal to keep going. This list from Simon Nielsen doesn't play Thassa's Oracle. You have several loops that involve shutting your opponent off of non-basic permanents with Boseiju, bouncing all the permanents with Otawara, gaining infinite life with Aware Might plus Urza's Saga. There is a bunch of other loops. I don't know if you were watching the live show in Barcelona at the MagicCon. I kind of went over them during the commentary. Maybe I can do that for a video too. But let's go on. Let's move to the next deck, which definitely not shook up, but definitely came out of nowhere and made Soul Spike spike. This card went from being a €3 card to a €60 card in few days. Soul Spike is a fantastic card in combination with Necrodominance. Since Necrodominance lets you just draw a lot of cards but lose life, and Soul Spike lets you gain those life back alongside with March. This deck from Noama also plays Sorin of the House Markov. Mono Black was actually my first choice coming into the PT until the very last day when I didn't like the Nadu matchup and switched into Nadu. If I make a Mono Black Necro video, I'm not going to use this list. I'm going to use my own list because there's a couple of things that I don't like about this. At the end of the day, Marcio Carvalho and VEEDEO, who teamed with me, ended up playing this deck and did decent in Modern, 7-3 and 6-4. So their list was once again not the same. Sword of the House Markov I think is an important card because the way this deck works is that often you just lose a lot of life, and if your Necro is bad, as in you don't draw any life gainer, you actually need to play a lot of them in order to be able to continue. Because sometimes Shield Raid is unreliable, it gets killed, it gets countered, and you just want to have multiple cards that don't actually cost 4 mana to resolve after Necro. But this deck is very unfair. This is a deck that really needs to resolve Necro. In fact, I was playing Profane Tutor to be able to get it more. I tried this deck in the Mox showcase the week before. It went fine. And I, unfortunately, again, chose not to play. I played Nadu. Didn't go well. My tournament was kind of unfortunate because I started tough draft. I started my first picks in some colors, which was the person passing to me. So I had to switch on pick 4, which is always a little bit unfortunate because you send bad signals. So I ended up going 1-2 in draft. In Modern, I played against a lot of Blood Moons. Blood Moon just shuts off Nadu. I played against two Rakdos and Boris Burn, which aren't definitely the deck that you expect, but they all had Magus of the Moon and Blood Moon ready to kill my Urza Sagas and Mana Base. But then the next day, once again, I lost to Blood Moon from Boris Energy, which I'll definitely bring on the channel. It's actually going to be the first video I'll bring tomorrow. Benton Madsen, teammate of mine, won the PTQ on Sunday with Boris Energy. But an interesting take, not the same deck with Unstable Amulet. Anyway, a lot of talk about Modern. There is definitely going to be a lot to be done after the PT. I'm excited to bring more Modern content. I am not thrilled about MH3 as it was about MH2. I think MH2 was infinite times better. MH3 just speed up the format, much more unfair, and I prefer a much more fair format. Blue-Red Murktide didn't do amazing. It went fine though, 51%. It definitely defended itself much better than the Flame of Anor builds. And there's also that very promising Demir Murktide list by Yuta Takahashi that I'm going to bring to the channel. It was super cool to see the viewership going up, skyrocketing in these weeks. And I love that on YouTube I can just schedule events. So I just, worked a lot in the previous weeks. Then I scheduled all my videos. And despite I was not here making content in person, there was a lot of views. So I'm grateful for that. But I am so happy to be back to do this again. If you're watching this, stay tuned on this channel because a lot of Modern content is going to happen. And this Sunday or next Monday, we will have Mengu's workshop video. We record today. That video takes a lot of time to be produced. Let's go into Pauper because last weekend there was a Pauper Geddon, which featured the new cards such as Sneaky Snacker. Me and Tomazalos made a best top 5 Pauper decks. So check that out if you're interested in more about Modern. Just scroll down my past videos, you'll find it. And this is a deck that won the Pauper Geddon over 700 players, 2 days of gameplay. And yeah, Sneaky Snacker in a deck that can't even cast it. You have plenty of ways to discard it between the blood tokens and the Faithless Looting, and plenty of ways to trigger it between the Faithless Looting, the blood tokens again, and the Mandancer and Highway Robbery. You just burn your opponent out. I played this deck a few months ago now. I'll play it again because it updated with Sneaky Snacker and Highway Robbery. Both cards are pretty good and pretty promising. Yeah, that's gonna be it for me. I am, again, very, very happy to be back. I will be doing content every day. Make sure to check out my platform. And yeah, just tell me what you want to see in Modern, because there was obviously a lot of decks that came out at the PT, maybe overshadowed by the success of Nadu, but you can just meta the game now a little bit more. You can add more cyber cards, you can add more removal spell. Obviously, removal spell sucks against Nadu, although there are some of them that are good, like Run a Fool, for example, in the mirror match. But, I wouldn't just be like, oh, Nadu's legal, I'm gonna quit Modern, because it's not. Like, It's a great deck. It will be banned, but I think it's always interesting to see how things will shape up. Thank you for watching. Make sure to follow, subscribe, and leave a comment, leave a like, the usuals. Have a great rest of the week.